Bro, I just love Tino. I just love Tino. I just support him any way I can do it, even though he's not here anymore.
You know what? More than fair, Brad. I'll let you off the hook. We are live, though. It is a beautiful Tuesday, apparently, in Chicago.
Very sunny out. Finally got something. I think we finally turned a corner here for my Midwestern folks. I think we made it. Indiana's probably been feeling it for a month now, but Chicago's finally getting some love over here. So yeah, but like I said in my tweet, there is no off season, so I'm here. I'm talking Hoosiers. I'm chopping it up every Tuesday night with my boy Alec Keyser.
Hell yeah, let's talk Hoosiers. Brad, by far the biggest thing that happened in the last week in terms of Indiana Hoosiers would be the fact that strength and conditioning coach Derek Owings signed a new contract due to the advances of USC. This is something that we've been talking about, not just the Derek Owens thing, but the fact that other programs are coming in trying to poach Indiana coaches. That's nothing new. We've been talking about it for what feels like a year. I've been writing about it. Indiana fans have been feeling it for what feels like forever. But you wonder what the biggest difference in Curt Cignetti's Indiana football is versus what the country has gotten used to Indiana football being. Look no further than the Derek Owings handlings. You can't even call it a saga. It didn't last long enough. Before we jump into kind of the back and forth, it happened in about a span of 5 hours, Brad. What was your heart rate? Like, how did the news hit you? Were you nervous at all?
It was funny because I wasn't nervous at all. Like, it was like typically, like, as an Indiana fan, you should be when your coaches, like when Haynes and Shanahan and whoever, like obviously Tino ended up leaving, but that was a clear promotion, becoming the play caller at UCLA, a job that's just not available at Indiana right now. Yeah, first off, fuck Southern Cal, Figueroa Tech, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, fuck them. They were talking mad smack online, talking about how they're the superior program and how they can get any coach they want from inferior programs. It's like, homie, Reggie Bush was 20 years ago. like, what have you guys actually done? 0 CFPs to my knowledge. I think that's a fact. No stat correction needed there. But yeah, this idea that, USC can go in and just take whoever they want may apply to some other schools, but definitely not Indiana right now. And it's clear as day. We've seen it all off season. Ohio State, Penn State, USC, they come marching in, and guess who has the bigger bag? We do. Kelly's School of Business, shout out. Yeah, we just have more money. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to keep him. It's a huge win, just keeping all that continuity in, because obviously, okay, let's say Derek Owings does leave. We replace him with his assistant, probably try to keep the same system. But at the end of the day, it's not the same. You hear this Derek Owings guy talk, like his path is going from Indiana job to the NFL. I mean, you just hear how he talks about how he approaches the weight room and the conditioning and everything like that. We've all seen the clips, especially as they were circulating during all this buzz. But I mean, it's just been a common thing for Indiana. We're just able to keep throwing bags out there. I had a buddy in one of my group chats. He might be on this watching right now, so I dropped it in that chat. But they're telling me, will I be upset when? Because I was talking about Sig. Will I be upset when he goes to LSU? And which I responded with everything that I've been saying. Like, I'm not worried about the dumb Hicks down in Louisiana. I'm just not. I'm just not.
We don't gotta insult.
I'm just not. I'm just not worried about them. I'm sorry. All right, maybe that was a little bit overboard, but I'm not worried about LSU. I'm not. I think it's at a point with Indiana. It's very clear. We've seen it over and over again. Whatever Sig wants, he gets. He wants $2 more mil a year. He's getting $2 more mil a year. I think Sig's found a home. He's not, I don't, as much of a rah-rah guy as he is, I actually don't see him as like, I need that Bama job. I need that Georgia job. I don't see him.
No, he's much more of an I'm going to turn Indiana into what Bama was, what Georgia was.
He said it on national television already. We're the rising superpower in college football. Why would he leave? He already said it. If he leaves, he looks like an absolute bozo. And yeah, so go ahead. I truly believe he's too old to go to another job after this. That's honestly the reality. He's just too old to go somewhere else.
circling the conversation back to Derek Owings, because this is kind of along that same point. I was having the conversation with my dad because when the news initially hit, I can't lie, when I saw it on Twitter, when you see headlines like that, they're usually like, the deal is done, wink, wink, like we're just waiting for semantics. So my first initial reaction was like, oh shit. But then like you think about it and you think about the Brian Haynes situation, you think about how they handled Cignetti, extending him as early as possible, extending the assistance 2 weeks after. Brian Haynes was being pursued by multiple big time programs. They shoot all those programs away too. So my dad was like, are you surprised this is what they did? This is exactly what they've been doing for the last year. And I was like, I don't know if I was surprised, maybe more so shocked. The fact that you can have a school like USC, who clearly wasn't paying attention, thinking that they can just waltz on over into Bloomington and put a pile of money on the table and walk away with an elite coach. In the past, that's exactly what you could do to Indiana, but that was before Curt Cignetti.
Yeah, I do see it as a positive for USC because this is a program that let's call spade a spade. They've killed it in recruiting for the past 20 years since the Pete Carroll days, and time again, they underachieve with that talent. Moving on from their strength and conditioning coach, whoever that was, I don't know his name, but moving on from him, who I based on the context of what I was reading, has probably been there since pre-Lincoln Riley. So they finally let him go.
He started working with Lincoln Riley in 2018. I'm spacing on his name, but I wrote it I think Brody Weil maybe is his name.
Okay, so he was at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So he let him go.
But there was a lot of Oklahoma.
Reason, at least they're going for the right guy. Like Derek Owings,
no, 100%
guy in college football right now.
Their process was
Bama
correct.
Guys who were also like, remember 4 years ago, Bama poached our strength and conditioning staff under Tom Allen. That happened, which is why you were probably scared. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I knew.
Well, if scared is the wrong word. Initial shock factor being like, oh damn, like I didn't even like, because obviously, and this was the conclusion I came to when I was writing the article. It's on thevoiceofcollegefootball.com, vocfb.com. Check it out. Of course, when like to your point, USC's process was correct. They arrived on the right guy. The problem for them was that Indiana isn't messing around. Like it's been a fundamental shift from the university that they're just not going to be pushed around anymore in terms of when they have something good, they're going to keep it together. So like there was actually, I feel like now,
like if you're going to throw the bag at Haynes and Shanahan and the whole staff, like what, we're just going to stop at Owings? Like that doesn't make any sense at all.
No, and he's arguably he's one of the most important people associated with the program.
Any position coach that we have, like let's just call spade a spade there.
It's not insulting to say the person
probably goes Owings, right? In terms of importance, like
he spends the most amount of time with the team in the offseason. He is the main driver for the physical development of the football team. Like it is, you cannot understate how important that guy is. And I know what you said before, like maybe he just promotes assistant. It's typically not how it goes. Like I feel like these guys take their best guys with them. So you have to bring in a whole new staff. And at this point in the season, or at this point in the offseason, doable, yes, but I mean, for USC specifically, like you miss it's a whole window of off-season conditioning that you feel like you just fucked up.
100%.
That's not great.
Yeah, and if we're gonna we keep saying it, catch the likes of Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, and Penn State, who we've said is probably the tier 1 of the league, where Indiana's at tier 2, looking to get there, knocking on the door. He's critical for us to get through that door into tier 1. He's absolutely critical. So an absolute huge win for the university. I called out Pam Whitten and Scott Dolson when I saw the news. I told them to grab the checkbook, and I think they listened. I think they're paying attention.
A lot of people were saying grab the checkbook, and I think the comforting thing for Indiana fans is the way the news broke and the way the execution happened. One, tells me that Owings has a great agent. And 2, that the university was full blown on top of this. And before anyone could tweet out, grab the checkbook, they were in the checkbook. That's comforting because this happened really, really fast. Like this wasn't even like, it was real. They made an advance, and it was like, they got like it was like Derrick Henry running down the field. Like they stood no chance. They got stiff armed into oblivion. It was really, really impressive stuff from the Indiana administration, and again speaks volumes to the direction that the program's going. Which brings me to the reaction we got from we were asked a question in the chat last week. Basically, should Indiana be going into this season thinking Big Ten championship or bust? And while obviously I think like we talked about last week, even if you go 10-2, you might not make the Big Ten championship, but that's still be considered a good.
We said 11-1. That's what happened to us.
Yeah, it's still a good season. But I think a lot of people maybe had. I think it made people nervous, almost like we're shooting too high or asking for too much. But like this is, I got news for some Indiana Hoosier fans that might be on the fence about maybe caring too much or getting too invested in this program. Like this is a good football team. Like this is a really good football team. They have an elite quarterback who's generating, elite football program, and the recruiting buzz they've been generating. They had a ton of visits over the weekend, high impact visits, including a commit over the weekend, which we'll get to in a little bit. But like this is, get used to feeling the pressure, feeling uncomfortable, or feeling nervous, because this is the realm that Curt Cignetti has brought Indiana football to, and it's not changing. Like that doesn't. I actually it's asinine that they're being underappreciated or underthought of or disrespected even going into this football season, because like anyone who's paying attention will tell you that something special is happening in Bloomington, and like they're just going to be like, get used to it. These are the conversations that are going to be happening.
Yeah, you can only see so many green flags without seeing any red flags to realize what's going on, you know. What's up, Fat Boy 44?
But yeah, I think like that's it. Big Ten or bust is probably like what the room is thinking, and that's what I want my football team thinking. Like I bringing up and like that's
they're there to have that mindset. We're here to maybe keep it a little more realistic. I'm telling you, that's what they're thinking. That's truly what they're thinking. But like I said, like you drop one game in the Big Ten, you can miss the championship game. So like to just put the or bust on it, it's more so like I don't think we can't win the Big Ten championship. It's more so like the or bust thing. Like I think it's playoff or bust. I think in this era of college football, just being in the Big Ten, like that's how it is. It's like making the tournament is way more important than winning the Big Ten tournament, or even winning the Big Ten for that matter, in my opinion.
Here's where I was going with that.
So it's kind of like the same. It's like equal to that. Just make the dance. That's all
100%. Here's where I was going when I just completely lost train of thought. When like these are the like the and or bust type of conversation that scares a lot of the Indiana fans are the conversations you want to be having about your football team when they're in like good. Like this is a highly competitive, like really good team that it's okay to set high expectations for. Like they have it themselves. Like this, like they're going into the season expecting to win. Like it's okay if the fan base goes in like a little bit more excited, maybe not as cautious as I'm just like, to me, it's all gas, no brakes with this team. Like I'm just, like you said, how many green flags do you need to see before you just are full blown on board? And I don't care how many pundits or like media people or even people like us like want to discount what they did last year and who they did it with and the offseason they had, but this is a good football team. Like I'm gonna keep saying it. Like they're really good, and they're a tier above what the public thinks they are right now, and that's the exciting part, which is stunning. Better. It's shocking. Indiana is what everyone thinks Illinois is. In the, if you want to talk about the Heather Dinich comments on Pat McAfee today,
that we're going into now. We should talk about that and like the preseason rankings that we've been seeing there coming out. You know?
Well, I was gonna say the Heather Dinich segment is absolutely not sponsored by Shalubi's, NCAA's #1 all-time soggiest sandwich. But if it was going to be sponsored, that would be my personal pick. But yeah, the Dinich comments, not great. She basically said that Illinois has the chance to be this year's Indiana, and why?
Whatever the fuck that means.
Like, first of all, there's no like, there's no. Here's where my brain went. Like, if she said if the next thing out of her mouth was then because they're both Big Ten teams that started with an I and Illinois has a chance to make the playoff, then it'd be like, okay, cool. You said something that was like a little off. Like, why I need to put Indiana in there? But to compare 2023 Indiana and 2020 to the transformation they made to what Illinois was last year, 9-win football team with a bowl win over an SEC team being ranked in the between 10 and 15 of every major preseason poll. Like it's an illogical and it's hurts my brain.
Yeah, it's a dumb take no matter how you slice it. So let's like take it easy on her a little bit here and say, okay, she's picking Illinois to be the Big Ten surprise of this year, like Indiana was last year, make the play and be that 4th Big Ten team in the playoff. The problem with that is that every pundit out there has Illinois ranked in their top 15.
That's what I'm saying.
So like, it's like not even that good of a take. Like it's like no matter how you slice it, it's just the dumbest thing you've ever heard. And like I cannot wait for that Illinois game on what, September 23rd or whatever.
September 20th.
20th? Sooner than I thought. Perfect. All right. Well, yeah, home game. It's gonna be a packed house. I mean, yeah, just bulletin board material. Please feed it to me
for a team that doesn't need it.
Keep giving me bulletin board material for September 20th, please. Because that, like I said, when we did a little run through on the schedule, like that's the game that's going to really determine the direction of the season. Just how we said the UCLA game was. Yeah, it's easy to point the Big Ten opener as what's going to change the course
season defining.
Like, it was Northwestern. Like I'm not going to pick that. Like it's just not. That's not what's going to happen. So, yeah, huge game, huge opportunity. I am big on Illinois. I do think they're going to. I think the Big Ten is going to be really solid next year. But her comments were just asinine.
No, it's funny, yeah, because it's. But that's the point. Is Illinois was a good team last year. Me and you were sitting on Sigs. We were sitting on Sigs Inside an Indiana football podcast, making the case for Illinois to be the 3-loss team that gets in because of the fact that they played in the Big Ten. Like this isn't like an anti-Illinois thing. This is just the fact that this team that is clearly a tier below Indiana, regardless of how many people they have coming back, is just being talked about like they're like Illinois is being talked about how Indiana should be talked about right now, and Indiana is being talked about like they did nothing last year and none of that mattered. Like it's actually insane. People are using Indiana's history to determine what they're going to be this year and not Curt Cignetti's history, and that is the mistake.
Yeah, Indiana brings back 3 All-Americans on defense. Their 2 best receivers on offense. They were a playoff team last year, and they upgraded every hole they needed to fill. Like what? I cannot wait to see what Phil Steele picks for Indiana next year. I'm anticipating because he was kind of hip. He was talking about Indiana going bowling, which a lot of people were not going into last year. So curious to see how a real college football analyst evaluates Indiana going into next year. And it's so sad. She went to Indiana,
I know she's a Hoosier and she dogged the team last year too, which is it was funny. A lot of the reaction from the Hoosier fans on Twitter was like, oh, so she's going to shit on them too if they go 11-1.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But like I said, I think actually I don't have it in front of me. I'm staring at the coaching rankings, but like she's good at getting engagement. I'll give her that. And most Hoosiers are elite in their field. So
5 minutes on it.
I want to put a bow on the Derek Owings conversation real quick to just say his new contract is quote in excess of $900,000.
Feels underpaid.
I know. I was about to say it does feel underpaid, but I think he's like top 5 or top 3 in the in the field. So
that's strength coach money, though. That's just
he's making almost $1 million as a strength coach. Like that's good for him. And he's
throwing up 1.5 at him. To be honest, I think that's worth it.
Well, that's for next time somebody tries to. Yeah, 100% agree. Very well deserved for him. But that's for like they need a little wiggle room for the next time. So next time somebody tries to poach him, they can go up a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll go to 1.2 next negotiation, and then after that we'll go 1.5, and at that point he's going to the league. So
yeah, and then
as long as we can keep him his entire collegiate career, I'm good. I'd be disappointed if he went to a different college before he goes and does NFL work.
100%. How do you feel about Joel Klatt?
I like Joel Klatt. Good I would say he wasn't a Pac-12 quarterback. He's a Big 12 quarterback. But yeah, Colorado, I think he's fine. He's good.
Joel Klatt had the Hoosiers ranked 21 in his top 25. They were the 5th or 6th Big Ten team off the top of my head. I can't remember.
Better than a lot of these pundits that don't even have Indiana ranked. So I'll give them credit there.
Exactly. It's fair. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I don't have to like it. That being said, it's by far the best public representation of what this team can be. Like the starting expectation for them is much closer to 21 than it is unranked and need to prove yourself. Like it'll change quickly because everybody's got to play football games. But yeah,
not that I
thought was fair.
Not that I think that's probably where we're gonna be ranked going into the year. So he probably nailed it. Like if he's trying to pick the AP top 25, probably nailed it. Going into the preseason. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. 21. I mean, that's probably where they're gonna be. And fuck, what was I gonna say? God damn, I'm looking at Wrigley Field right now.
Distracted.
Yeah, a little bit. There's fireworks going on. Hold on. I'm like a dog. What's going on?
Moving screens are distracting for Brad.
Yeah, 21 Savage. What's 9 plus 10? What we talking about? Oh my god.
Well, I'll rescue you here.
Yeah, doesn't even matter. Doesn't even honestly. Here's what I was gonna say. I wish he didn't even rank us. I'm gonna keep my same narrative that we've been saying this whole time, where it's I don't want any hype. Not that I think that this team's gonna be affected by hype in any way, shape, or form. They're ranked top 5 going into the Ohio State game. I don't see that. Yes, they played a little sloppy, but I don't think there's probably the whole team didn't have a letdown. It was probably certain guys that did. Couldn't handle.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about
Kadick, but
listen, we could spend a minute and a half.
I mean, they did because I
love Mike. I love Mike Kadick, but I did not appreciate the fact that he stood there with Barstool Tate and let the Indiana offensive line, that was arguably the best unit in the country, be a laughing stock for a minute and a half for fun. I didn't appreciate that. I also didn't appreciate the Mason Graham clip he posted where essentially it was somebody else's mistake that he was pointing out. Listen, if you're going to be a film guy, be a film guy. If you're going to be a content creator, do your thing. Obviously, I love Mike Kadick, but I just didn't appreciate, as an Indiana fan who's trying to be really specific about the perception of Indiana football and where people should look at us and take us seriously, I didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, honestly, I want us to be kind of slept on is kind of my whole, just kind of put a bow on it. I don't really want people to, I just don't want hype. Yeah, and I mean, whether or not there's hype, I really don't think there's any letdown with Signetti teams to my knowledge, from what I saw last year. I mean, there was so much hype going in that Nebraska game and they won 56-7. It was if that doesn't tell you what this team is made of when it comes to showing up, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it was
I'm glad you
56-7 isn't just catching someone on a bad day.
That's what I'm saying.
That
dude.
is catching someone on a bad day, and you came ready, you're pounding it down their throat, everything's going right, you're executing at a high level. That's what 56-7 is. That's not just oh, Nebraska played bad and Indiana got lucky. What are we talking about? 56-7, guys.
I'm glad you said that, because I have written down here that I want to talk about USA Today's Paul Meyerberg's Big Ten coaches rankings. You haven't seen these yet.
I haven't. This is a live reaction. Yeah.
I'll save my take for until after we get to the glaring problem here. But even you go down 1, 2, 3, I have some problems with this list. Number 1, no issue at all, Ryan Day.
Sure. He just won a national title. I think that's
makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Number 2,
born
James Franklin.
Born on third base, but I still think he's a good coach. Can he rebuild a program? I don't know. Can he coach Ohio State born on third base? Yeah, of course. He's one of the best play callers. Chip Kelly guy, yeah. He's great. Obviously, he had to outsource to his mentor to win this natty, so we'll see how he does this year. I digress. What's number 2?
James Franklin.
Solid. Yeah, I love James
Fair.
Franklin. I think he gets a bad rap, honestly. He's been doing it. He won 10 games at Vanderbilt, guys. Like that guy can coach, period.
Is John in here? John's his biggest fan.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't win. Vanderbilt might be one of those teams that hasn't won 10 games. We won 9 games at Vanderbilt, possibly. And I remember that just being a huge deal. And I thought Penn State was getting an absolute steal when that hire happened. And honestly, like, he's won like 10 games every year since he's been at Penn State. Like, what's there to complain about, really? Like, what is? You weren't able to win the Natty. Obviously, they're craving a Natty at Penn State. I get it, and it might be loser talk to be like, like because he hasn't won a Natty, he's still a good coach. Like, it's not. Like, you want to fire him and rebuild? Like, good luck. You saw what happened to Tennessee. You saw what happened to Oklahoma. Saw what happened to USC firing Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, all top coaches in the college ranks right now. I mean, you got to stick with the guy long term, and eventually he's going to break through. He almost did it last year. Semifinals. Won 2 playoff games. Yeah, that's my James Franklin rant. I think he gets a bad rap. I think Keegan-Michael Key does a really good impression of him. Gives me laughter.
Dude, his Keegan-Michael Key's when he's like, the one clip of him where he's like, there's a player over there not in uniform or something, and he does the run.
Yeah.
Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
No, here's where it starts to get off the rails, Brad. Number 3, Kirk Ferentz.
I mean, longevity, sure. Like, he's been there, 20 years, taking over direct. Iowa's been really lucky. I think they've literally gone Hayden Fry, who's like their legendary head coach, and then they went straight to Kirk Ferentz. I think they've had 2 coaches in the last 40 years. Unbelievable program. They just keep doing it. I mean, I don't hate it. It's just recently Iowa hasn't had an offense since they're in the Rose Bowl like 8 years ago. So I don't really know what to do with that.
Number 4, Dan Lanning.
Agreed, David. All you need is one magic run. Same goes for hoops. You keep with the coach that gets you 10 wins every year. Look at Nebraska when they fired Bo Pelini. He won 9 games every year, and they still fired him, and Nebraska's still not back. They're still not back. It's amazing how these things happen. Crazy.
Lanning 4.
Honestly, Lanning above Ferentz. Like, what are we talking about?
Not even a question. Here's where it gets even more ridiculous. Nebraska still not back. Well, Matt Rule's 5.
That's crazy. I mean, yes, he has the NFL on his resume.
But guess what?
Did he deserve that higher? I don't know. I mean, you could say
Signetti is 6, 1 behind Rule.
Yeah, and I know Pete Carroll went college, failed in the pros, went back to college, killed it enough to go back to the pros, and Nick Saban, same thing, killed it in college, went to the pros, failed, went back to college. Obviously, you saw what happened at Bama. Doesn't mean that's going to happen with Matt Rule. That's all I'm going to say. We'll see. I do
think he's a good coach, but the rank him above.
They showed me flashes, but still like that same thing. They're just not able at the end of the game, able to just pull it out. They just can't do it.
I know it can't come down to one game, but to your point, when you start like leading into this, when you're like 56-7, there's an absolute blasting. Like, it's not just getting lucky; that's being significantly better. Like, watching Matt Rule's press conference after that game, him sitting there just like like literally like I have no idea how to describe what just happened on the football field. Like, he had been like somebody had been like Cignetti took out a gun and shot somebody on the field. Like, it was like he was like, I have no idea what just happened. Like, I need some time to process what I just saw. It was like they got beat so badly. They got put into a blender. It wasn't even a competition. It literally wasn't a game. And this is a team that Illinois struggled to beat, and this was a team that I think Iowa played as well that struggled, or maybe that was Purdue. But my point being, like, you watch, they have one head-to-head matchup, and it wasn't just a drubbing. It was like it was a pantsing. It was an embarrassing loss for Matt Rule. And to say that, to look at the state of the 2 programs right now, and yeah, I know Nebraska's got a shitload of money and a lot more football history, but Like, look at the state of the two programs right now. Look at the arrows and look at how quickly things are moving and the buzz the programs are generating. Like, keep sleeping. Keep sleeping.
I mean, if you're just look at resume, obviously you're picking blind resume. You're looking at taking Matt Rule because he coached the Panthers. But I mean, if you looked at win-loss records at the college level, I mean, they're blind resume. Then you're looking at Signetti by a mile, and I'll take that as my head coach over the failed NFL coach any day. Period. Signetti's a top 5 coach in the Big Ten. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. I would even swap out Ferentz for Lincoln Riley. I know he's been under a lot of fire lately, but that would probably be my top 5. Would be that top 5, swap Kirk Ferentz for Lincoln Riley and swap Matt Rule for Signetti, and that's the top 5. I don't know how I'd rank them, but that's the core 5. Period.
Well, I'm gonna speed run the rest of the list, like in groups of 5. I'll let you give your thoughts. So 7 through 12 would be PJ Fleck, Bielema, Riley, Shiano, Fickle.
Yeah, I love Shiano, man. Fickle, yeah.
And Jonathan
Great coaches
Smith
in the Big Ten, by the way. These guys are all solid.
12.
These guys are all now.
It is an elite coaching league. I will give it. 13 Barry Odom hasn't even coached a game yet. 14 Sharon Moore.
How is Barry Odom above Sharon Moore? It's just
disrespectful.
Feels racist. feels bad. There's just no if, ands, or buts. Dude's 2-0 against Ohio State.
Coached hasn't coached in the Big Ten.
It's unreal, man. That's crazy. That's a crazy list. That Barry Odom over Sharon Moore is crazier than anything you read me so far. Like that is unreal. How do you feel
about the next 4 names being Jed Fish, Mike Loxley, then Foster and Braun to round it out?
It seems right. Like I think Foster's solid, but like I also really like Loxley. I think Loxley's a great coach. Is he better than Signetti? No. But I think he's a solid coach. I wouldn't mind my son committing to go play for Mike Loxley at Maryland. I wouldn't hate that at all. I don't think that's a bad situation to be in. Same with Deshaun Foster. I think Deshaun Foster's doing a great job of really pitching this NFL over NIL player-friendly environment, bringing in, I mentioned this last episode, bringing in all these ex-NFL players into their spring showcase. And really, I think he's bringing all those guys back, I think shows a lot to the culture. You just did not see that with Chip Kelly, and just leveraging that NFL network that you have at the University of California at Los Angeles. He's doing a great job. And like 17, like I'm not going to complain about it. There's plenty of other more accomplished coaches ahead of him. Jed Fish is a solid, one of the quarterback gurus in the whole college ranks, and he's at 15. I mean, it's a loaded college like conference list. Barry Odom should be second to last, by the way. I would take Deshaun Foster over Barry Odom. That's so unproven to me. Deshaun Foster's turnaround at UCLA was very toughest schedule in the conference, and they managed to go 5-7 down the stretch. Had a shot to make a bowl game toward the end there, and
hey, he was able to hire Tino Sinceri. He sold his vision well enough to somebody.
Yeah, he made a ballsy move and fired Bieniemy after 1 year. I mean, that's his good friend. Like for him to do stuff like that, he's truly, as a UCLA man, really taking it serious. That hey, I'm gonna bring UCLA back like it was in the 90s, early 2000s. Like that's what I'm here to do. And
and again,
not to bring it back.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, Brad, but this will be the second Sigs Inside Indiana Football Podcast mention of this episode. When we talked about Media Day last year and Foster went up there and had like that viral slip up moment, I wrote for keysportsnetwork.com, and me and you spoke about that. Like that's not indicative of the type of head coach he's going to be. Yeah. And the odds are, if he's more worried about team building and football than he is about standing in front of a presser, he's probably a good coach. That being said, obviously, when you compared his day to Signetti's day, and you look at Signetti, who's a seasoned college coach, been there, done that, all that, he's got the process and stuff figured out. That's something Foster's still getting used to. So you can't always be excited about press conferences and all that good stuff, but definitely it's hard to take like
nails it every time.
Negatives. Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny enough because like those intro pressers, especially especially in the NFL, like you see, like usually it's the guys that are like the weirdest. Like Sirianni had a really bad like intro presser, and he just won a Super Bowl. And like we've been really high on what the Jags have been doing in the NFL ranks, and Liam Cohen got clowned for his introductory, press conference. So I mean that remains to be seen. Obviously, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jesus, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see with Deshaun Foster. I think he deserves a longer leash than people are probably giving him, and I think with a lot of Twitter finger people calling it the worst college football hire ever is what I've seen a lot. Usually those idiots are wrong on Twitter, so we'll see.
Those are the people who I like to like bookmark their tweet and save it in Indiana football receipts. You'd be surprised at the nice little treasure chest I have of callbacks I'll be able to pull out during the season.
Oh yeah.
Or yeah. So yeah, the haters. I like when the haters talk.
Yeah, I love it too.
Back to the Indiana football
team.
That
USC account never got back to me when I showed him the Derek Owens news on Twitter. He never responded. He didn't follow me back either. I was kind of pissed. Like I thought we had a good back and forth going, and he was liking all my stuff. He just didn't follow me back. I think he was just a little upset that USC's.
Yeah, well, he was telling me that
USC's in debt. I'm pretty sure we're not going to get into that, but like, I mean,
that account was telling me that better programs just come and take coaches from lesser programs, and that's how poaching works. And I told them I hope they enjoyed their stay at Curt Cignetti's Indiana football. We'll see you next time.
Yep. What's next?
A quick hitter. Indiana IU NIL Club is now live. I believe it was Jalen Hollywood Bell who tweeted out a link for that. It's funny enough, the NIL Club, like the system or platform they're on, is created, I believe, by this company called Yoke. And the Yoke guys I actually met at the Jalen Suggs half-court shot Final Four game. So wild connection there. But that's another place we can go on, support Indiana football, the players themselves, and it goes directly to NIL. So check that out. Go check out that link. Help out the boys.
Yeah, always support. If we want to keep paying Derek Owens and we want to get Fernando Mendoza, pull him away from Georgia, if we want to retain Surratt and Cooper and Carter Smith and 3 All-Americans on defense without even breaking a sweat, not even hearing rumors of them hitting the portal, please donate to the NIL club. Thank you.
Well, Hoosiers Connect would be the main
Hoosiers
thing.
Definitely
Hoosiers Connect would be the main thing. But if you're looking for
I'm
more,
just trying to plug. All right, like I'm bad at it. So what? So what? You don't know what to do. DM me or Alec Keiser. You have our Twitters right here. We'll tell you what to do.
Yeah, we'll help you figure it out. The Indiana football account released a mic'd up from Rod Ojong from the spring game. I'm a huge fan of Coach O. If you've heard any of our podcasts or live shows or read anything I've written, so super entertaining. Obviously, check out those videos. Did you get a chance to watch the video, Brad?
Of the Coach O?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's good. You can definitely check that
out. Maybe I did. I don't
know. Indiana addressed a major need in the transfer portal. Sig talked about basically that coming out of spring, they only had about 5 healthy wide receivers. ACL injury to Tyler Morris. You have a hamstring injury to Mekhi Jackson. Davion Chandler not being on campus yet. Literally just left Surratt, Cooper, Williams,
Kendrick, and
Becker. Becker. I was spacing out. Becker slipped my mind for whatever reason. Yeah. So they went and addressed a need in the slot. They got Jonathan Brady, a transfer from Cal, has experience with Fernando Mendoza. Specifically, he caught the touchdown to cap the 98 yards with my boys drive. If you don't know what that is, go check that out too.
Interesting.
Elite. Yeah. Funny enough how you can figure out the connections there. But obviously,
full circle. So we got both those guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Unreal.
When I wrote about the other thing I wrote about this week for voiceofcollegefootball.com, vocfb.com was that Fernando Mendoza is getting draft buzz, and that if you were, again, been paying attention to anything we've been saying, that's not surprising.
We're not going to talk about Jonathan Brady more?
No, we are. But in that article, I have that drive and the subsequent interview linked. So if you are looking for a place to find it, you can find both those there. But no, let's talk Brady. You're the receiver guy. You're the master of the eye test. What do you see?
I see a decent receiver. I mean, if you're expecting Keyshawn and Miles Price, I don't think you're on the ball here. I think this is a more strength guy, possession type slot, can definitely run all those slot routes, but more of the less speed, more possession, stronger guy. I'm not saying he's slow by any means, but he's super strong. Is probably the biggest thing that pops up for him as a slot receiver. Very nice having him and Davion Chandler as potential slot options to go along with Kendrick and Bond, who are already on campus. Slot has been addressed with the loss of Tyler Morris, I believe, with this acquisition. I do think it would have been really nice to obviously have Tyler Morris, but, the situation is the situation. Tyler Morris is going to have to redshirt, and he's going to be back next year. So we kind of got to make do. Obviously, we have this idea of the three-headed monster with Cooper, EJ Williams, and Elijah Surratt. But with that, and then obviously Mekhi Jackson is a gadget guy, and all of a sudden, I just listed 4 outside guys. We have 4 inside guys that are coming on campus. And then there's Charlie Becker. That all of a sudden we have 9 receivers again, and it's a good sign. I mean, they like to play a lot of them. It'll be curious to see if they do the three-headed monster thing, or if Brady or Davion Chandler are able to compete to a level. Or I'm not gonna discount Kendrick or Bond either. Compete to the level where they can get the main slot reps, game in and game out. We'll see. They like playing Key and Miles Price a lot, both of them last year. So clearly there's a lot of snaps to go around. Those guys got a lot of action. So we'll see what they do.
No, 100%. They go deep into that receiver room, but like we just said, and Sig, when I was going to mention, there was a lack of depth in the room. So to go get an experienced guy who literally already has chemistry with Mendoza,
that's something I definitely.
It's not always
that's huge.
It's not always the flashiest ads. It's not always the 5-star or the number 1 ranked portal guy that you need to be an effective piece in the football team. Like the number 1 receiving option, number 2 receiving option, and likely number 3 receiving option are already on the football team, probably even 4 and 5. So you're looking for somebody who's able to rotate in, play effective snaps, understand the scheme and what the quarterback wants. And like, that's the perfect execution of identifying a need and getting a guy to fill it. And if he ends up being the starting slot, I think that's a massive win. And if he ends up being a rotation piece, I think that's exactly what you want him to be.
Yeah. I do like that he's from LA. I do like that. Yeah,
it's a homer thing for you. But that wasn't the only.
I like to
do this.
He played at Bishop Gorman. We got a Bishop Gorman guy.
No, Abel. We love Becker. Of course, we love Becker.
What do you? I didn't say anything. No love for Becker. Yeah, Becker, redshirt freshman. I mean, he's definitely going to be the starting gunner this year, so he's definitely has a role on this team. Super important. Receiver wise, it's a crowded room. We'll see what happens.
I will say though, you can't discount the fact that he's
really good.
Well, you also can't discount the fact that for the majority of the spring, like Mekhi Jackson hurt his hamstring in practice 4. So for the majority of the spring, Charlie Becker was the literally first guy in the second unit. Huh. So I'm with you. I think he's a dog as well. We're big fans.
Yeah, Abel, it's hard to play 9 dogs at a time. We go 11. We go 11 most of the time. We can only play 3 receivers at a time. We got 9 dogs. It's hard. It's just difficult. We have Surratt and Cooper coming back. Those are all conference guys. They're going to take up a majority of those snaps. It's just going to be hard to work in there. And Becker has a role. He's very important. The gunner position is that is the most important position in special teams. The gunner on punt. That is the most coveted. I don't know. And he's probably going to be a gunner on a kickoff too. He's going to be an important piece. Excited for his development. And a lot of those special teamers turn out to be really good players because they get so much game action.
How many times did we see Indiana legitimately go 8 deep in the receiver room, or where like 6 guys had multiple catches in the game? Like this is an offense that predicates itself on rotating receivers and keeping guys fresh and like prioritizing matchups. And there are things that Becker will do well that the other guys don't do as well that they'll highlight. So I don't think this is a situation where like one or two of these guys ends up getting buried. I think it's obviously you have your featured guys, and then whoever's playing really well in practice or stringing a couple good games together is going to work their way in. But like we saw it last year, and we saw it at JMU. If you go back and you watch any of those games, like there were points during the JMU game where you're like, wait, who's on the field? Like where Surratt's not even on the field, and you're just like, what? Like I don't even understand what's going on here. So it's all those guys will play.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I will say, like, I think next year is going to be Becker's year. I think EJ's gone next year. Mekhi Jackson's gone. Cooper could be gone. Surratt's for sure gone. So lots of potential. The slot looks really shored up with Morris, Davion Chandler, Bond, and Kendrick all of a sudden next year. And then Becker seems like the only outside guy who's coming back. So he's going to have a lot of opportunity down the line. Yeah. We're high on Becker. He had an Ole Miss offer. Lane Kiffin knows his receivers. He's a good evaluator at that position. So him having that Ole Miss offer coming in on campus, that's huge. Huge for us.
No block, no rock.
100%.
I like to do this like current person entering the team, future person coming into the team, transition from like transfer to class of 2026 guy. The class of 2026 continues to grow. Blake Smythe, defensive lineman from Franklin Community in Indiana. I believe the number 9 is he the number 9 player in Indiana? I'll have to double check this. I'm looking at Hoosier Recruiting on Instagram because Hoosier Recruiting has all the official visits that came in as well over the weekend. And there was a very special unofficial visit as well, Brad. I don't know if you heard about that.
I heard about it.
But Blake Smythe, Franklin Community. Apparently, the number 9 rated player in Indiana is awesome. The way this staff is recruiting the state of Indiana is really impressive. Sig talked about that, recruiting your state, and then in that 4-hour radius, they recruit really well in Ohio. They recruit really well in Kentucky. Obviously, they recruit really well in Illinois as well. Got to dominate your state, and doing things like this is exactly how you do it. He's the number 90th rated defensive lineman overall. But I don't want to step on the point you were making, but you were saying like any early April or early May Signetti guy.
Yeah, I haven't watched his tape, but I think he's already listed at 275 as an incoming senior in high school. It's pretty big. That's a big guy, big fella. Probably gonna get bigger. Clearly they see bone structure at his age. He's going to be ready to play at the Big Ten level. I just trust his value. I just trust Sig to the point where if he's taking a guy in April, May, if he's taking a guy anytime, I'm just trusting him. I mean, this is a guy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And this is
the recruit. How many times did I say this? Recruiting coordinator, year 1, 2, 3, Nick Saban, Bama. Like, you saw what happened. He built the foundation of what was the Bama dynasty. Obviously, the whole staff's a big part of that, but he was the driver of that, being the recruiting coordinator. And I think that needs to go said. That needs to be said over and over and over again. Whenever we bring a guy in, we're just trusting the evaluation. At a micro level, the stars don't matter. So it's really up to him, when he gets on campus, he's going to buy into the program, Clearly they like him. What's he going to do? It's up to him now. It's like the draft.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're on the NFL team. Now make a roster.
When you say defensive line, obviously you listed him at 275. That's kind of right around where Landino is right now. Landino was playing interior.
I haven't watched
Landino was. I'm not comparing him to Landino. I'm just saying like size wise. But again, like that's Buda Williams' room or that's Pat Kuhn's room, and the way those two guys recruit, and so. Like, again, you're trusting the evaluation process here. Obviously, you want to recruit the state of Indiana really well because that's where the school is. But, yeah, it's the momentum they're building in 2026 is impressive. And then, like you said, you've been saying for weeks, the offensive talent and the offensive side of the ball largely gets decided when the quarterback commits. Brody McWhorter committed to Mississippi State last week. That was kind of the guy Indiana was going after in the class. They've rapidly shifted focus. They're now like blinders on for Luke Fahey, so we'll see what happens there. Mission Viejo kid.
Mission Viejo. They don't mess around.
California.
Guess which quarterback? Guess which Jets quarterback played at Mission Viejo? Go. I'm gonna verify.
I should know this, but I was
wait
a second. Mission Viejo.
Mission Viejo. Jets quarterback.
Darnold?
No, that's San Clemente High. Come on. I hope I'm right here because this would be embarrassing. Oh, I nailed it. Nailed it off the dome. Come on, Keezer.
Sanchez?
Sanchez, baby. Sanchez.
Oh my God.
He's by far the best quarterback to come out of there. I mean, I'm telling you, Keezer. Mission Viejo doesn't
fuck around.
Chris Olave went there.
I will tell you about
the program.
About the Sanchez. The Sanchez is the reason. The Sanchez is the reason I became a Jets fan. Think about this: fifth grade Alec, much more of a fantasy football fan than a football fan. You can't really see anything about it right now, but every excuse to be a Pats fan because I'm a diehard Red Sox fan growing up in New Jersey, so I'm in enemy territory already. But I was just like tired of being the enemy. I was like, let me be a Jets fan. Had a Mark Sanchez jersey. Like life was good for 2 years. I didn't realize what I was signing up for.
Oh, Jay Wizzleton got me. Mission Hills kid, not a Viejo guy. That's the same area, right? Like that, they're close. My bad. I missed. I can't hit them all. I can't bat 1,000. It wouldn't be fun that way.
But there were a lot of very interesting pieces in the class of 2026 that took official visits this weekend. Nick Reddish being one of them. He's a defensive back that they've been very high on for a long time. The goal is not to butcher these. Jerquaden Guilford was on campus. He's a highly touted receiver in the class of 2026.
Say that again. Sorry, I was reading a text. My bad. Say that again.
I believe his name is Jerquaden Guilford. He was on campus, high impact receiver in the class of 26. They had Cameron Miller on campus. He, I believe, is from Hammond out in the region. Offensive lineman.
Nice.
They also had Logan Nagel on campus. I believe he plays on the defensive line.
This is May 2nd, right? Yeah. Guilford. Nick Reddish seems like he's likely. They've been on him for a while. I feel like he's a fan of the pod. I feel like he follows me low key. But 4-star Travis Johnson, wide receiver out of Virginia. That's the guy that stands out. Like we talk about the macro economics of recruiting and how you want to bring as many 4 and 5 stars. Obviously at a micro level, individually, like Blake Smythe, for example, it's really up to him at this point. Is he going to put in the work? Hard to evaluate between the years. In a micro sense, stars don't matter in that sense. But when you're building a class, you want to bring as many 4 or 5-star kids that pass the Signetti evaluation as you can. And, bringing guys like that on campus. Didn't they bring in a 5-star from Lawrence North unofficially pretty recently?
I'm getting to that. Officially, though, no, we could talk about it. Officially, Corey Amitri. Corey Amitri, 4-star running back, number 1 running back in Michigan. He was also on campus. So the staff is recruiting the offensive side of the ball. Like, I definitely wouldn't be worried about that. But no, this is building.
They're very heavy defense right now, but I'm not worried about this offense by any means. Unless Tino was just that good of a recruiter, who knows?
No. Building to the fact that unofficially on campus over the weekend was a 2027 5-star from the class, from that class from Lawrence North. Showtime sales. I mean, the pipeline from Lawrence North to Indiana just needs to continue. It's been building. Omar Cooper, receiver, elite, dude.
Davion Chandler's coming in this fall. Two summers from now, 2 springs. It's gonna be Showtime sales, baby. He's coming in. He's on that track team that set the state record and the 4x1 with him and Davion Chandler both being on it. So obviously he's really tight with the kid. He mentioned after Casimir Hicks committed to Indiana, he said the best in Indiana play at Indiana. And I mean, if that's his mindset, I mean, it feels like I'm feeling good about it. I'm just feeling good about it. I mean, it'd be a huge win. Obviously, Ohio State's going to come knocking on the door, and we're going to have to go toe to toe with Brian Hartline for this kid at the end of the day. I like where we're at right now. I like where we're at right now, is what I'll say.
The fact that, so here's the thing, is like when the real turning point or for how much noise and how different Indiana was on the recruiting trail was the fact that somebody like Julian Lewis decided to take a visit last February. That was somebody who was already committed in the class coming up. Like it's a little bit different to have somebody who's so far projected out. Like the 27s and 28s are being offered right now, but nobody's really committing in those classes yet. So to have these unofficial visits at this time in the recruiting process is these are big. Like again, I'll echo your sentiment. First 3 years of Saban's Alabama, the recruiting coordinator was Curt Cignetti. That's not an accident. It's not an accident that the second the guy stepped in the door, the social media switched, like the way they sell the program and the jersey and everything about the Indiana program completely changed the second Signetti walked in the door. And like these, you talk about again the green flags you see from the program as time goes on. It's like, yeah, having Showtime Sales unofficially on campus, posting pictures of Davion Chandler's locker, like this could be me one day, is fucking exciting. I mean, very exciting.
Showtime Sales committing to Indiana would be the biggest commitment since Romeo. Probably even bigger than that.
It would be way bigger. Listen, we don't have to talk.
We're not talking about Romeo Langford.
I was gonna say it's under my like if Pitino doesn't get, like if the whole Louisville saga thing doesn't happen and he's the coach of Louisville for that year and not suspended and ends up in Greece, then Romeo probably is just not probably he goes to Louisville. Like he was committed to Pitino. Like he wasn't. He just kind of ended up coming to Indiana because like, I guess I'll come home. This would be. Indiana basketball fans can come after me. Showtime Sales would be by far the biggest commitment in school.
Getting him over Ohio State would be the biggest.
It would be the biggest commitment in school history in any sport by far.
Yeah, can't think. There's probably a big soccer.
So I'm not saying we're not anywhere like he's. There's no like he's not heating up to make his decision or like he's not cutting down his list of schools anytime soon.
Him just hanging out. Paying out of pocket. That's what unofficial is. Like he's paying out of pocket to go hang around the program. And
I mean, Lawrence North isn't very far from.
True, but you still got to pay for a hotel.
Still got to get there.
Yeah, still got to get there. And I don't know if you stayed the night or anything, but yeah, I mean that's only a good sign. It's a good sign. So we'll keep tabs on it. I think. I mean, we started this as a Julian Lewis podcast. Should we become a Showtime Sales podcast? Is what I'm pitching.
We are a Showtime Sales podcast. We're a Lawrence North podcast, I would say.
Oh yeah, I've been a lifelong Lawrence North High School fan. Lifelong. Always have been, always will. The green and orange, I bleed it. You know, we're gonna you know, the best in Indiana play in Indiana. And if you want to talk the talk, let's walk the walk. You know, let's play. Let's go play. You've seen the offense. You've seen it. You're gonna get looks. I'll tell you that. You're gonna get the ball. That's for sure. So, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Love it. The last thing I have for the smoke.
Oh my God, Jay Wong, Jay Wizzle. Go Wildcats, Jay Wizzle. Go Wildcats. Monrovia High. You know, Ellis McCarthy. There's a name for you.
The last thing I have written down for the smoke, Brad, and this will lead us kind of into where I wanted to go with football this week.
Yeah.
2026 mock draft season has started for the sickos. I wrote about it, like I said, this week for Fernando Mendoza. Field Yates tweeted about Mendoza. Nate Tice put him as the number one quarterback in the class. He's been appearing on draft boards. There was, like I said, D'Angelo Pons, preseason PFF All-American in that flex spot. He's appearing in the first round of certain mock drafts. Surratt is appearing as a wide receiver named to know for the NFL draft. This is going to start happening with the Indiana football players. And it just affirms everything we've been saying about the Hoosiers. Real quick, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question specifically on Mendoza and our conversations about him, but
Yeah.
thoughts on seeing Hoosiers pop up in draft boards like this?
Not surprised. I mean, I anticipate seeing Pons and Mendoza pretty high up. Seeing any of the receivers getting the type of buzz, like any first round buzz, is pretty honestly eye raising for me. That's a good sign. It's really hard to be a day 2 or 1 or 2 receiver.
It didn't for, I will say for the Surratt graphic, it was like names to know for the draft. It didn't exactly say like which rounds people were being picked in. So
it's not, I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, if we're anticipating what this, like I have it at another 11 in 1 year to win in Eugene. And I think they can win a playoff game, maybe 2. If they do that, there's going to be plenty of these guys getting drafted, and that's going to be where things get tricky. Of course, with roster construction, we're going to have less continuity. I think we're benefiting from a lot of our best players coming back this year. So losing NFL talent is something that this program has never seen before in terms of being able to replace it at the level that we're kind of starting to see, where there might be 5 to 7 draft picks come April next year coming out of Indiana University. So it's exciting to see, obviously. And do you want me to transition to Fernando? By the way, Jay Whistleton calling Kamara the GOAT is a good sign. He's a talent evaluator himself.
Whistleton himself is
he does Jay Whistleton himself, talent evaluator. He likes Kamara. I mean, the dude led the country in pressures last year. I mean, he's coming back. I mentioned the Greg Middleton school record for single season sacks at 16. See if Kamara can do it. He's could be playing in 16 games, so he might, he's gonna have plenty of opportunity to get there.
Do you want to tackle the chat question right now or tackle it in a second? Because
let's do chat question and then we'll go Mendoza.
Then we'll talk Mendoza because that's going to lead us into
Mendoza. 2 questions. How do recent visits align with Indiana's broader recruiting goals for 25 and 26? Well, 25 is on campus, and then 26. I mean, it just shows that I think coming in, there's a lot more visits that are happening this time than there was probably last year. It just means they're finally at the level to where they're not like playing catch up anymore. Recruiting wise, they're in a point where they're kind of in cruise control. Like, this is the process. This is how we do things. These are the guys we're bringing in. And, certain guys will get full offers. Some guys will get soft offers, and we'll just keep evaluating after we keep talking to these kids and understand where their mindset is. Like I said, super hard to evaluate up here. So I think it's important to just bring as many kids on campus as possible and try to really learn about them and how they think, and just make sure you're bringing in the right people to keep the culture going is probably the biggest thing. More so, obviously, with wins, the stars will come, but as long as they're guys that won't mess up the culture and will continue the level, the expectations, the fast, physical, relentless, fast, physical, poised, whatever it is. Like,
poised.
I'm so close.
Every play is a life.
That's
6
the
seconds
most
of play.
important thing when it comes to evaluating for these guys. Like, obviously they have great measurables. They got to make sure that their bodies are built to play at the Big Ten level. And that's important. But
which
they
is why retaining Derek Owings is a massive
they believe
deal.
that they can evaluate up here better than the most, and that's how I think it really is an edge at the college level, because you see it time and time again. Teams that chase stars to make the boosters happy, and that's not always the best way to go about it. So they're sticking to their system, and they're sticking to it. And with Indiana boosters not knowing a lick about what a successful football program looks like, they're just like, yep, whatever you say goes, Sig. you want this 0-star from the Naval Prep Academy, Elijah Hardy, sure, go for him. And yeah, he brought him in, and he was the best true freshman in that class. So go figure. So it really doesn't, I'd say it's more up here, less so the stars. And also, what feedback have recent visitors provided about their experiences and how might this influence their recruiting efforts? It's all been positive. Right? What have you heard, Keezer?
It's all been, the thing is, it's been extremely positive. It's all been like detail oriented. Like, here's how like great the program is. I trust the vision. I love what they're building here. Like there was not, this isn't a recruit, but one of the lead recruiting guys for On3, Steve Wiltfong, tweeted like Indiana is like trending for like top recruits and building momentum off like a great recruiting weekend. But it's just like everybody who interacts with this Indiana coach, like I tweeted this, like everyone who interacts with this staff on any level comes out saying the same thing. Like it's really impressive the work they're doing here, and it's like it's a legitimate program. This is like they're doing things the right way, and like Brad and I keep saying, like those green flags of the program that just keep popping up. It's like, yeah, everything that recruits are saying when they leave these visits, it's all like it's not like, oh yeah, like it's not like, oh my God, NIL is great, I'm gonna get paid a lot. It's like I really enjoy what they're building here, and I believe in the staff. And it evident by the fact that like there's a graphic that came out today where I think Indiana has the third lowest average NIL evaluation based on the guys, based on threes, like whatever version of like who they signed in the class of 26. And I wouldn't necessarily believe everything on three, right? Doesn't mean anything. The Indiana guys are being taken care of. I can promise you that. NIL is definitely not an issue for the Hoosiers, but I think what it does say is that a lot of the kids choosing Indiana are choosing it for football reasons and not just monetary reasons, which again, green flag.
Yeah, I think one thing we started to notice with how they're approaching it, like you were saying, these freshmen, these rising juniors, seniors at the high school level coming in, and it's not really about what's my bag going to look like? Like, obviously, Signetti does not mess around with that. Like, if that's your mindset about how you're approaching the next level, you're just not the fit that Signetti is looking for, period.
So, well, because you're going to, like, that's going to be a byproduct. Indiana,
and you saw the tweet from the NIL agent last week that mentioned the fact how Indiana's very athlete friendly, very easy to negotiate with, all great stuff. Best athletic department. Well, he's called them one of the best athletic departments in the country, period. And to keep seeing those things, you got to think that Indiana is looking to become the gold standard of what NIL allocation looks like when it comes to roster construction. You're bringing in freshmen, you're developing them. Obviously, there's maybe some small money that goes with that, a stipend type level NIL package for them, a standard. You're a freshman, you're a sophomore, that type of stuff. I think that's how Indiana's doing it. Shout out Kelly School of Business. And then using the real, the big money to retain the star players, keep Surratt, keep Cooper, bring back Kamara, bring back Pons, bring back Aiden Fisher, keep all your star players, the guys that have earned it, and you allocate the money that way and then use the rest to bring star players from the portal in. And I think that's what they've been able to do at a very high level. And I think, economies of scale, things, always balance out in the long run. I've never been too worried about NIL getting out of hand. I always thought it would work itself out. Teams are going to overspend and it's going to fail, and they're going to have to take a step back and reevaluate how they're allocating NIL. And these things are just going to happen, and it's just going to work itself out. It just will. Obviously, there's going to be regulations in place down the line, but I see it really already kind of working itself out. I don't really see, obviously the number one freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood, got like $2 million, $10 million, whatever the reports are. I don't know if that's going to last super long. We just saw what happened with Nico. I think that's a very clear sign that things are starting to change when it comes to how you allocate NIL for the future. So, yeah, glad Indiana is ahead of the curve when it comes to that stuff.
Full-blown agree. Mendoza, Brad.
Yes. So I've compared. Yeah, you have a question? You're gonna tee me up?
Well, no, go ahead, because I was gonna say what you were about to say. So say that, and then I'll tee you up.
I mean, I've brought it up before. I mentioned it before. I mean, every time I watch him throw the ball, I see Andrew Luck, and he's very smart. He's very cerebral. Am I calling him Andrew Luck? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. I see 6'5". I see a tight release. I see a wicked spiral, and that just reminds me of Andrew Luck. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's because he went to Cal and Luck went to Stanford. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but that's just what I'm seeing. And I beat everyone to the punch as I see people putting him number 4 on their mock drafts and publishing him to the public. And here I am. I've been calling him Andrew Luck since February.
Since the pro day. I'm full blown ahead of the curve. That brings me to my question, Brad, or kind of where I wanted to go with the main football topic this week is when we sat down, what was it, 2 weeks ago to kind of talk about where Mendoza was at and rank the quarterbacks in the Big Ten. We had a serious conversation about the fact that, like, I basically said, like, if you're calling Fernando Mendoza Andrew Luck, he has to be the number 1 rated quarterback in the Big Ten, because if you put anybody else above him, you're saying there's somebody better than Andrew Luck in the Big Ten. You stared at me for about 60 seconds and you're like, you know what? I think you're right. So me and you went through and we wrote down, we ranked the quarterbacks in the Big Ten.
Right now, no, but I just see Andrew Luck year 3 maybe at Stanford, and it's kind of
that guy was a no-brainer. Like. He could have came out his junior year and been the number 1 overall pick, and he stayed in school an extra year.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
But that brings you to the fact that we ranked the quarterbacks in the Big Ten. You ranked all 18 of them. I ran out of space at 16.
Notable Drew Aller haters, yes, actually. Yeah, great tools. Great toolbox.
I was about to say,
Jay Wizzle.
I was about to say I ran out of space at 16, but I only wrote 12 names down. So Brad, if you want to start and maybe, or if you want to start from the top and go down, or
want me to work up?
I think you should work up.
I should work up.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of tiered, right? So like bottom 3, it's like no hype. I would call it just like the no hype, unproven tier. It's like Drake Lindsay, who's taking over for Brosmer at Minnesota, Malachi Singleton or / Max Brown, whoever's starting at Purdue, and then Justin Martin at Maryland. He was the backup at UCLA for Chase Garbers, who a lot of people didn't think was very good. I thought he's okay. But
Ryan Brown at Purdue. Max Brown was
USC Pitt. Yeah. We're moving on.
Brutal injury. Yikes.
Ryan Brown. And then, Justin Martin, Inglewood kid. I like him. He's a 4-star coming out, but unproven, very little hype. So I have him at 16. The next tier is what I would say. It's very senior heavy. So like the seniors have done it, have proven, but like, are they going NFL? Probably not, is how I would evaluate them. So like 15, I have Kaliak Manis, Rutgers. 14, Billy Edwards at Wisconsin. 13, Preston Stone at Northwestern. And 12, Mark Gronowski, the South Dakota State transfer, playing at Iowa next year. That's the next tier I have up. Jay Wizzle, tell me if I'm sleeping on Mark Gronowski. Please tell me. And then I need to know. I'm pretty high on Preston Stone. I think he has a pretty high ceiling. I mean, this is a guy that was dicing it up in an SMU offense given, and then he got hurt and got beaten out by Jennings last year. Once you put in a guy like Jennings and he's that electric, kind of got to just keep him on the field. So Preston got put in a little tough spot, had to transfer to Northwestern. Northwestern might have gotten a steal with that pick. I mean, that 15 to 12 tier, like those guys are solid quarterbacks, in my opinion. I think the Big Ten is a very solid core of quarterbacks, especially when you go 15 up. I'm not saying these guys are special, but they're serviceable. They're serviceable upperclassmen guys. Yeah. Jay Wizzle says Stone pooped his pants last year. So I saw a 5-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, probably talking about out of my ass, but I saw him the previous year going crazy. So, I mean, maybe he pooped his pants last year. Was that literally, Jay Wizzle? Literally?
Well, Brad, I was going to say, I feel like I'm maybe slightly higher on Gronowski than you are, just because of how good he was at, South Dakota? So
South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits?
Yeah. But not much higher. Like, I think you're right, though. It's very, very hard to get in there and from 15 to even 12, 11, 10. It's somebody's playing well one week, you can make a strong argument. So it's it's a very strong league, very similar to the coaches where you look at 11, 12, 13. You're like, man, there's some pretty good coaches there. It's obviously a lot of these guys would start for most other teams, not in the Big Ten or the SEC, and that's why those two conferences are head and shoulders above the other ones.
100%. Yeah, and those guys are just serviceable. I think once you start getting to 11, it's really I'm kind of projecting upside based on their youth. So 11, I have Demond Williams, who's kind of the darling. A lot of people have them in their top 5 of quarterbacks in the Big Ten this year. Yeah, he's a great dual threat, true sophomore, really showed out as a true freshman. I mean, he could end up being Lamar Jackson for all I know. Who knows? I don't see it that way, to be honest, but I'm putting him at 11. I think there's high upside there, especially him just going into his year 2 season. I think there's that jump that he's going to see is all right. Jay Wizzle, Demon Williams, Jay Wizzle approved. There we go. Yeah, true sophomore. I have him there just because I think he's just a little more unproven than these guys. He's more Kyler than Lamar. Interesting. I didn't see him. I swear I didn't see him throw it that much when I was watching him. They ran him in packages and he was running most of the time. Would like to see more from the arm. 10 is a guy who I'm very high on, and I think he could be one of the biggest risers on this list that I have. But he's at 10 for now. The redshirt sophomore at Michigan State, Aiden Childs. Big fan of him. He's been following Jonathan Smith forever. He's going to go year 2 of his starting. First full second season starting at the college level. We've talked about Michigan State as a riser going into year 2 with their new head coach. You should expect an uptick there. Childs is probably going to be one of the bigger reasons for that. And then I get to a tier where it gets really curious.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
So is Dante Moore the next name for you?
Yes, he is.
Why Dante Moore over Childs?
Why Dante Moore over Childs? Because it's interesting. That's a good question. Dante Moore comes in as, I think he's a better thrower of the ball. When it comes to what I saw when he was a freshman at UCLA was crazy, accurate, powerful arm. Absolute idiot is kind of what I saw from him. Like I saw him throw a pick 6 on the first play of the game against Utah on the road. This is a play that has been installed since Thursday, and he doesn't know and he gets tricked on the first play. Unbelievable. The crazy arm. I just don't see it up here. Why do I have him over Childs? To be honest, after saying all that, I don't know. I do think the arm on Moore is better, and I think there's a little bit more upside there with Dante Moore. Will it happen? Will it come to fruition? I mean, we'll see when I rank these. Probably I'll do a mid-year ranking of these guys because this will probably stay true going into, through fall and stuff like that, at least for me. So I won't see any more tape on these guys up until August, September, October.
Well, here's how I look at those two specifically, Brad. And I know Dante Moore did he put a full season on tape or no, his freshman year? But you're looking at Aiden Childs, who had a full season of football in the Big Ten, versus Dante Moore, who didn't.
Yeah, but then you're out here telling me how Julian Sands going to be the truth, and
no, I didn't say the truth. I just said he's going to be good. Like he has again, it's right. Like you're looking for. I'm not watching the kid every day. I don't talk to the kid. Like I don't know what his mental makeup is. But when you have like the Elite 11 stuff and the high school accolades that kid has, and then you go, Ryan Day is comfortable handing you the keys to the offense. It's like, am I going to trust my evaluation of the guy from what I read on the internet, or am I going to trust Ryan Day's evaluation? I'll probably go with the guy who just won the national championship. Like he probably has a little bit of a better idea about quarterbacks than I do.
That's kind of the same thing with Oregon here. And why I have upside level Aiden Childs.
No, upside, I'm with you. If you're talking upside, I think he's like Dante Moore's a 5-star.
I think Childs could end up being a top 5 quarterback in this league when it's all said and done by the end of this year. Do I think that's what's going to happen right now here in May? No, I have him at 10, which is, I think, a very good ranking in the Big Ten. Being a top 10 quarterback in the Big Ten you're probably looking at all these years that these guys are in. Very few of these guys are seniors. He's in a good spot you're in a good spot to draft.
I was going to say 10 feels low until you realize there's 18 teams in the Big Ten, and
yeah,
10's really not a bad spot.
It's really not at all. And then I have Dante Moore, who crazy arm, just kind of bad decision maker, how I see it. Julian Sand, I have at 8. Personally, I don't even like that. Like if you had to ask me right now who I'm taking Childs over Sand, like I'm taking Childs. I watched Julian Sand and like, yeah, he's crazy accurate. I just see Miller Moss. I see an undersized, like kind of skinny white kid, just kind of good arm, accurate, good decision maker, just nothing too special there, to be honest. I could be eating crow by the end of the year. I mean, he's going to look good with throwing to Jeremiah Smith, sure.
Yeah, I was about to say his job isn't very hard.
Take Jeremiah Smith away. Like, how good is Julian saying? How good is he? Even if he pops off this next year, like it's going to be hard. It's just that's hard to evaluate. Period. So, but he has Jeremiah Smith, so I have him at 8. That's kind of where that logic kind of came in. Give him Jeremiah Smith, yeah, he's probably top 8 at least in the league. So, and then 7, I got Bryce Underwood, who is a true freshman, so I couldn't rank him really any higher, to be honest. Just looking at the guys above him, just couldn't convince myself to rank him above those guys. Everyone else, I'm very high on Bryce Underwood. I think he's gonna be very good. Everyone below him at this point, I was able to convince myself that Bryce Underwood, I would take him over those guys just because of his upside and his size, his speed. He's the whole package from what everyone's telling me. He can go out there as a true freshman and absolutely flop like Dante Moore did. You never know. We'll see. But yeah, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Yeah, Dante is Will Stein can't make it work. Dante is cooked. That's very fair, Jay Wizzle. I agree. Yeah, it's a good system. Like Dante Moore is being put in a good, better situation than a really bad O-line at UCLA the past 2 years, including his year there. I mean, he's probably scared. You know, he's playing this really good Utah defense, throws a pick 6. Still, that play's been installed since Thursday. So I really see it's a very, very up and down type flow with Dante Moore. Lots of ups. Like he'll throw a dot to J. Mike Sturdivant for a touchdown, but then he'll throw the dumbest pick you've ever seen in your life. And yeah, he doesn't move well in the pocket, at least when I was watching him live a couple times at UCLA. Yeah. But anyways, Bryce Underwood, I think he's the bee's knees, the cat's meow, the whole package. I mean, this guy, he's for a freshman, it really does. For a true freshman prospect, I don't know how much better it gets. Definitely a better prospect than Raiola coming out as a true freshman. The reason why I have him right behind Raiola is because Raiola. So these are my rankings for who's going to be the best going next year, not NFL. If it was my NFL projections, I'd probably have Bryce Underwood number 1, right next to Mendoza. Like it's at that level, but he's a true freshman. It's hard for me to put him above a 5-star that's also going into his year 2. That's just a year ahead of him, and he just did. So I have Raiola at 6. So that means I don't think Raiola is a top 5 quarterback in the league, which could be it based on these pundits. Could be a very debatable take that I have. So yeah,
you're not going to get much debate from me, Brad. Maybe I'm just putting too much into the Indiana game, and I have to throw that out. But I just like I don't see like I had Raiola at 8, I had Mayava at 7, I had Sayin at 6, Underwood at 5. Underwood, I know it's so ridiculous to have somebody who's never played college football this high on this list. It is crazy. Physically, if you look at the kid, like he looks like he just looks
like Cam Newton.
He does look like Cam Newton, and I'm not putting Cam Newton on the guy, but holy cow, like he physically looks like he just looks like he could step on an NFL field right now and be ready. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying that, but just like, good God, if you could just craft the quarterback out of stone, like it'd probably look, maybe not the gut, but it looked pretty damn close to Underwood. Dude's got an absolute cannon. That being said, horrible offense. His number 1 wide receiver might be Donovan McCulley. So we'll see.
Yeah, he lost Loveland. He loses
in terms of dual threat ability, like in terms
Donovan Edwards.
In terms of size and in terms of like upside. Damn, man. Like he's young. He's real young. He is really young. But God damn it, he's like as enticing as a player could be. So we'll see if they make it super simple for him and then they let him run, right? If they treat him more like a run first quarterback and aren't afraid to let him get hit, I think he has a lot more success than if they try and make him a pure drop back. But yeah, I mean, they weren't able to have a lot of success with
I'm basically just buying into this Bryce Underwood.
I'm buying it. That's what I'm saying. He might be worth the money. That's fine. And I'll be happily wrong.
Yeah, sure. And I'll be wrong about. I would hate to be wrong about Sayin, but I see Miller Moss. I anticipate Sayin to drop on this list, Moore to drop, Childs to rise. Demon Williams could rise just based on Jay Wizzle. You know, I trust Jay Wizzle. We go way back. And then it's true. And then are we ready for top 5?
Yeah. Well, I Underwood was my 5, but go ahead because you have Mayava up there.
Yeah, I have Mayava at 5. I really like Mayava. I saw a lot of good things from him this past year. Saw him live. So I watched Caleb Williams play in the Rose Bowl, and then 2 years later I watched Jaden Mayava play in the Rose Bowl. Same game, same jersey, same number. Man, do they look similar out there? Just throwing motion wise, kind of running around. Now Caleb Williams up here, special. That's why he went 1 overall. That's why he was able to figure out. And he's got that touch, and he's got that, 1 overall stuff. He's got it all. Mayava, obviously a little more unproven, but man, did he look a lot like Caleb Williams. And if they can just replicate anything from that year and what those offenses were doing, they're in a really good spot. I saw him hit a post on a rope, like just beating the DB's hand by a couple inches in the USC UCLA game. That was an absolute dot, an absolute pearl. He shows those flashes. I like him at 5, and I'm going to go right into number 4 because I got Nico Iamaleava at 4 for UCLA. So I got 2 Polynesian quarterbacks playing at the Angelino schools. I absolutely love it. The crosstown rivalry is going to be absolutely electric with these 2 top 5 conference quarterbacks going head to head. And I'm big on Jaden and I'm big on Nico. They can really sling it. I expect those 2 teams, because I have them in my top 5. I expect those 2 teams in particular, UCLA, USC, 2 teams that a lot of people aren't talking about for, being dark horses in the Big Ten going into this year. Maybe USC, they get that hype, but definitely not UCLA. Watch out for those 2 teams. They have really good quarterback play going into next year. So exciting stuff.
You're higher than Mayava than I am, but obviously Lincoln Riley was comfortable enough to let Miller Moss walk out the door and to be able to lose Julian Lewis, who
like our 4th podcast ever. I told you this was going to happen.
You did. No, you've been high on him. Obviously, if we're gonna just move down the unproven guys, I'll take your word for it. Mayava ends up in the top 5. I'm with you right there with you on Nico. I think people are underplaying the fact that he was a redshirt freshman starter in the SEC and navigated his team to a playoff. The fact that maybe he wanted to get what was a crazy market value for a quarterback isn't that big of a red flag for me. And the fact that he landed with Tino Sinceri is terrifying for the fact that Indiana is going to have to play them later in the year. I still think Indiana's a better team than UCLA. So it's I'm not, but that's you're right. You're going to have to try and these are games you're going to have to be very prepared for, because those guys are going to be prepared.
Quarterback play against UCLA and USC this year.
100%.
It's going to be elite. And Nico, you got to project, you got to see the production and see where they're at youth wise, and then anticipate the younger they are, the bigger the step up they should be taking in theory. It's what do you call it? Exponential, right?
Growth is exponential, Brad.
Yes, of course. That's how I see Nico. That's how I see Mayava. Obviously, Underwood, Sayin, and Moore are a little more unproven than those guys. I'd say those Nico and Jaden have a lot more experience under the belt. Jaden was the freshman of the year in the Mountain West at UNLV. He's played a ton of football at the college level already. And then he came in halfway through the year and really turned USC's season around. They were on a little run. They were looking good there. They were hanging around with Notre Dame. They took care of business against UCLA. They ended very strong for their season, coming off a Maryland loss. Since after that loss, they finished really strong, as much trash that I talked about them on. Jay Wizzle. I think I talked. One thing I really like about Nico's situation at UCLA is I mentioned obviously that we know about Tino, but him just being around Deshaun Foster and all these ex-NFL guys on UCLA's staff, I think it's just a really good perspective switch for him to see that, where he can really just not worry about the money, and the goal here now is to get you to the league, and UCLA has plenty of facilities and exposure and resources to get you there, considering the amount of, a lot of NFL players go to UCLA's campus to train, like Odell way back in the day, some big names, and that still happens to this day. So he can, in theory, like if a receiver comes into town and they're in LA, they're gonna be like, "Hey, Nico, can you throw?" And he's gonna get that experience very early. And that type of stuff is, you can't put a price tag on that. Throwing routes to Stephon Diggs and Mike Evans and guys like that.
Have you been seeing these things happen, or are you just assuming these things are happening?
These things do happen at UCLA. They do. I'm just telling you. They go to LA and they train, and Nico and Jaden are put in a very unique situation. I think it's big for Nico. And I'm kind of done on Nico, but yeah, a kid from Downey, California, starting. Jay Wizzle knows he's an LA guy. Being in that environment at UCLA where they are an NFL factory is just going to be huge for him. I'm not saying Tennessee isn't that, but Mike Evans isn't going to Knoxville to train.
It's LA is different. I will give you that. Get into your top three. What do we got?
So it's the clear top three: Mendoza, Aller, Altmaier. The two most,
the order,
the three most proven guys in this league, production wise, however you want to slice it. Just they've done it. They've been there. Two of them have done it at the Big Ten level. One has not. I have the one who has not top of my list just because, he plays for my team, and I'm projecting that he's going to be put in a better situation behind a better O-line and a very quarterback-friendly offense. And I think he looks like Andrew Luck when he throws. I got Mendoza 1. I got Aller 2. A guy who has all the tools, but at times, I think he played great last year, but at times can be a little unreliable. And then there's Altmaier, just an absolute gamer. Nothing, his toolbox isn't out of this world, but he's an absolute gamer, cerebral player, can make plays. Winning football is what he does, and is how he plays. So I have Altmaier at 3, Aller 2, Mendoza 1.
Yeah, it's funny. I had this whole I was ready to argue Altmaier over Aller just because they're for as many of the good. For as many as the good tools Aller has, it's just no completions to receivers in the college football playoff game against Notre Dame is you're going to play a team with good cornerbacks. You couldn't, I don't know. So for that guy to have the talent level of Penn State, I believe there was a comment up here before that somebody said that they thought Penn State had the best roster in the Big Ten. Yeah, Fat Boy 44. Penn State is the best roster in the Big Ten. To have that team, that level of talent, top 4, top 5 in the country, and still not be able to figure it out in those moments where it comes down to you is those are red flags to me. But for whatever reason, I had this idea of Altmaier in my head where he was the Illinois quarterback that threw for 500 yards against Indiana. But it was Altmaier's backup that did that, which makes that game 10 times worse and knocks Altmaier down a peg for me. So you have to put, I feel like you got to put Aller too, just based on, what he's put on the field. But they're people were talking about Drew Aller as potentially being a top 5 pick in this upcoming draft if he was able to put out a good college football playoff performance. And it sent him so far down draft boards, he came back to school. So,
yeah, I mean, a lot of people fell down in the draft this past year. QB2 went 25. So,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know where Aller would have fallen in that draft. Obviously, you see guys like Sanders fall, who is that toolbox guy that has this great accuracy, this ball. Obviously, probably messed up the interviews, but clearly teams are willing to just take a better player. That's a sure thing, a guy that's going to make their roster and be a starter over a quarterback where it's very, very been hit or miss. And I think with the Sam Darnold effect, I think it's going to affect how teams operate to the fact where, hey, let's get the older quarterback who maybe was, messed up his first shot, like Justin Fields, for example. Maybe year 5, Justin Fields figures it out, like Darnold figured it out year 5.
Geno Smith.
Kind of the same thing.
Didn't write back.
I'm going to throw it back to Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon didn't figure it out till year 8, and he won MVP of the league.
That's why I won't have any. I'm not taking any Kenny Pickett slander. The I'm not.
Oh,
It's
I'm
not
here for
over
the
yet.
That dude sucks. That dude
It's not.
stinks.
No, you
I'll
can't tell me.
stand
You
by
literally
that.
can't tell me it's over
That
yet.
dude,
It's year 4.
he wears gloves to throw. Keezer.
Gritty, tough, Super Bowl winner,
Fake slide made that man millions of dollars.
Heisman football finalist. No, the fact that he worked out in the
Nope.
Pittsburgh Steelers weight room for 5 years made that guy millions of dollars.
True. All right. Fair.
I digress.
He still stinks, though. I digress.
That's what I got for Indiana football, Brad, and football in general. You want to put a bow on your quarterback rankings? Do you have any a send off to say?
Put a bow on it. I like my rankings because they make sense to me.
I would hope so.
That's
You're like, oh my god, like these just I just don't know what I'm looking at here.
The only thing maybe I would change is like after talking it through, like I really don't like sand and I really do like Childs. So
I want to move Underwood down too. I'm afraid of the unproven.
I'm gonna go Childs 8, and I'm gonna go saying 11. I'm gonna go Demon Williams 10. He's gonna sneak in there. I'm just putting saying out of the top 10. Ohio State. We'll see how good saying is this year. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, I'll put a bow on this by saying this is a conversation and rankings Brad and I figured out 2 weeks ago. Not the least bit surprised at all that Fernando Mendoza is appearing at the top of these draft boards and will continue to do so. Like he's like Brad is not like, yeah, it sounds dumb when you,
yes,
it sounds dumb when you look at a kid and be like, yeah, that's Andrew Luck. But like, look at Fernando Mendoza and come up with a different idea.
Go and watch him throw.
Like, go and tell me you don't see where he's coming from. And I don't know. It's a different conversation, but I'm with you. The kid's special. Everything. We're like, Signetti can't help himself. Every time Sig talks about it, he's just like, yeah, he improved today. Like, and he's just like sitting there, like,
he's smiling.
You can tell he wants to like say things and like heap praise on the kid, but it's like, don't say too much because like,
cannot let that kid be satisfied at all.
No,
gotta keep pushing him. He's a good coach in that sense,
100%. Not that complacency is something that like that doesn't seem like to be an issue.
That's part of it, like inherently, like you get all this good praise. You're gonna, no matter, you can't help it. It's human nature. You're gonna get slightly, I'm not saying completely complacent, but not as driven as maybe you were before. If you keep that hunger, and that's why I think Sig does a great job with his guys, making sure they have that hunger and they're never satisfied. And that's something he always says all the time, never satisfied. And that's how I want Mendoza to be, going into, weight training. I think they're in summer workouts now. It's, it's always a fun time. And then they're getting ready for fall camp in August. And they're going to be thumping. Let us bang.
And obviously things happen weekly here for Indiana football. Like commitments are happening left and right. There's like anything that's happening in the football apparatus, Brad and I are here to talk about it every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Let's talk about some Indiana basketball, Brad, because Indiana football wasn't the only program to make some waves this week. Indiana, I believe, finalized its coaching staff with the hiring of Rod Clark. He was on the Tennessee bench. He is credited with recruiting Dalton Connect and Chaz Lanier, among others. You're as the college basketball junkie, as the recruiting, I guess, wizard. How'd you see it? What'd you think? What were your thoughts? Did you not see it? Am I breaking this news to you?
Can you say that again to me? I'm sorry.
Thoughts on the hiring? Thoughts on the hiring of Rod Clark?
Yeah, no, you're breaking that to me right now.
You didn't know that happened?
Yeah, no, that's breaking news for me. Breaking news.
That's what you got? All right, cool.
That's Rod Clark. All right.
Now, here's the Indiana basketball news that really broke in the last 2-3 days. There has been lots of smoke from the Indiana Burner Army. They have been tweeting multiple pictures alluding to something happening with the Indiana basketball roster. Hindsight being 2020, obviously the picture with the dog in front of the house for sale and the picture of the dog with the pizza should have been a dead giveaway. But without being tipped off first, I can't lie, I was struggling to figure it out. But it seems like this is done bearing just like semantics at this point. But Anthony Leal, which came out of left field for me, and Luke Goody are apparent like they're in for this Indiana basketball roster. And there's your 14. There's the roster, and that's done. So Leal and Goody, pending waivers, are coming back to this Indiana team, and that's the roster.
That's comes out of left field for sure. I think that brings it to 13. By the way, pretty sure it brings it to 13. I think they have 11 guys right now. They're waiting on Goody and Leal. I'm shocked that Leal's coming back. I mean, he's just the opposite of what we've been getting in terms of just like shooting wise at the guard position. It's just interesting that they would go that direction.
No, 100%. My initial
thoughts hate on Leal. He also doesn't have any eligibility. I mean, he probably does.
Well, I was going to say, that was my initial thought was like, okay, everything that we've seen Darren DeVries look for in a guard, besides obviously the defensive qualities that Leal has, like it's been like the complete opposite of who Leal is as a player. Like one of the only frustrating things about Anthony Leal as a basketball player is the fact that he rarely, if ever, looked to score last year. That being said, if you look at this Indiana team, the way it's currently constructed without Anthony Leal, they don't have a single person from the team last year, and they don't have anybody from Bloomington. So to have somebody who's as connected to the fan base and the town as Anthony Leal is added into that locker room, like for leadership, for chemistry, for understanding and getting guys acclimated to how things happen in Bloomington, Indiana. Like, yes, it's a new coaching staff for everybody, but the entire university isn't new, right? Like having somebody as familiar as Anthony Leal is with the entire environment, massive impact on the culture of the basketball team.
I agree. I agree with
tell me that
you.
kid can't figure out how to shoot 2 threes a game.
What? Who's shooting 2-3 games?
I'm saying if you like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Anthony Leal can't shoot 2 threes a game next year. Like he doesn't have to make them, but he'll take shots. You know what I mean? Like he could do that. Like PK in the chat here saying Leal was a top shooter in Indiana.
I agree with you for the culture thing. I also agree with Robert Perkiser here. Leal can lead the practice squad. Like I just don't see this guy getting picked. In terms of the direction that we're going, like I know I've said this throughout the majority of his career, where it's like
he was an all Big Ten level defender last year, dude.
True.
Like he for defensive purposes alone, he'd work his way onto the court. Yeah. He's coming back to play for Sig. He's coming to play safety.
Safety. He's 6'5". He's gonna play tight end. Kidding me? But yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see. Leal's definitely out of left field. Goody made way too much sense just in terms of how this team's gonna be built. Definitely will come in, probably relieving Tucker DeVries, to be honest, in terms of how they're kind of constructed at the 4, going small ball. Because I see, it looks like Reed Bailey, Sam Alexis at the 5, DeVries, Goody at the 4, and then guards for days 1 through 3. It'll be interesting. I'm not going to put too much brain power into basketball, as I actually did hear of the Rod Clark news, but totally slipped my brain. That was actually a huge hire, by the way. Just side note. Anyways.
Side note, that was the main note. I asked you what you thought, and you were like, I don't know.
I just didn't. I was literally processing. It's been a long day, dude. I got to the office at 8 a.m. today. It's 8:44 right now.
You were telling me you were in the
I've been going off for 13 hours now. I've been going crazy.
You told me you were like, I was at the gym and I do it's summer of Brad and all this stuff. And I'm with you.
It is the summer of Brad. What the fuck you mean? But yeah, Rod Clark news slipped my mind. I mean, he's an assistant, big time get. He recruited Chaz Lanier, like you said, and huge moving forward. Yeah, but like I said, it's football season. Like I'm getting ready for fall camp. I'm not going to put too much energy into this basketball team. I really see this as a football school. Football has been way more successful at this school institution in the last 8 years, which is how long I've been involved with it. So that's almost a decade. So I see it as, obviously it's kind of hyperbullying to make a point here, but I see us as a football school, and I don't really want to.
Hyperbolian. I like that.
Yeah, it's not like a real word, but
I thought you were saying hyperbullying for a second.
Exaggerate.
I was like, I don't.
I'll just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. I'm exaggerating to make a point here, but Indiana is a football school until proven otherwise, until we're able to make a tournament 2 straight years. No, honestly, scratch that. 3 until we make a tournament 3 straight years. I'm not, it's obviously I'm going to root for them and I'm going to critique them and we're going to talk hoops. I'm not going to put too much emotional investment because I really see football as our biggest, success, moneymaker, whatever you want to call it right now. That's what Indiana is right now. That's the direction the higher ups are going. And it's time for, I think, Indiana fan base to fall in line, because I think people are wasting too much energy talking about, basketball and
no, I disagree. I feel like that's
right,
no,
maybe.
It's part of the superpower of Indiana University is the ability of for the basketball team to generate so much interest and energy, and it's like Indiana will always be a basketball school. That being said, the recent history has been football dominant. Don't ignore basketball. Part of the reason you get a guy like Darren DeVries to take a chance on an Indiana job is because he sees what the fan base can be and what it looks like when the fans get behind the program. So I think that actually it's part of it's part of why Indiana is still a blue blood. The fact that the fans care so much, regardless of how good the program's been. You're not going to find this level of
and I hand up. I apologize. We're an everything school at the end of the day.
We're an athletics
Pacers.
School.
Go Pacers. I think Tyrese Halliburton, Team USA point guard of the future. I see it. I see the vision. I mean, this kid's unreal. Best transition offense in the NBA, bar none. Go Pacers, but go Lakers though, low key. But we're not. We're out. So I'm rooting for the Pacers. Can Indiana return to being a basketball first program, or have they fully shifted the focus? Which sport really comes first now? Money wise, in terms of dollars spent, football.
Football has to come first.
I will say though, they will still forever and will be leaders in the pack nationally in terms of money spent for basketball. I think they have the bandwidth to do both at a very high level. But obviously we'll see.
Yeah, you just have to spend more on a football roster, but Indiana will always be at the top of or near the top of the pack when it comes to basketball spending. It's ingrained in the fabric of the university.
Yeah. I'm seeing good things from basketball. I'm really pleased at what's going on. Leo's definitely a curveball for me. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I'm going to look forward to basketball with a positive mindset and cheer on these kids that are playing at my alma mater. And I'm not going to belittle them, and I'm going to support them, because basketball is a big confidence game. And people seem to forget that a lot, especially as fans, where you're supporting a team and you think tearing them down is going to be the best way to make them feel good. No, that's the coach's job. The coaches are here to tell them how not good they are, bench them, and get them to snap into it to play better. That's not on the fans. The fans are there to support and make players better, because basketball is truly a confidence game. We wonder why are we suck at 3-point shooting? Maybe it's because there's so much pressure to make a goddamn 3-point shot every single time they shoot one. Because if they don't, they're going to get nasty messages in their DMs every single time. So maybe if we cut that out, maybe the 3-point percentage will go up. Because I know when I play basketball, I shoot the best when I'm the most confident, and I just tell myself to make the shot. And I'm hard on myself because, that's how, people are usually wired, I would say. And I don't think they need outside noise to tell them how poorly they're playing. They know what needs to be done. I don't think this extra noise is ever going to help. So I'm going to go into basketball with a positive mindset, and I think everyone should do the same.
100%. And I think that directly combats. I was going to say that directly combats Jeff Goodman quote that came out today, basically saying that Indiana spent so much money on this roster, it'd be a disappointment if they did make the tournament. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised with the fan response from the Hoosiers, basically being like, shut up, dude. Like, nobody, like, that's not the type of energy we need right now. And people are right. Like, that's not the type of energy we need right now. Just, you're absolutely right. Full support, be excited. A lot of really cool things are happening. They're putting together a really cool staff. The dude they brought in from, I believe it was Davidson, his son's actually going to play quarterback at Bloomington North.
Oh, that's fun.
Right? But a lot of really exciting things. There's clear direction in the
Davidson. I was like, Reed Bailey as a kid?
No, what was the school then? Maybe it wasn't Davidson, but one of those, I think North Carolina, random schools.
Yeah, that's fun. Maybe he'll be a walk-on at Signetti's program, or maybe he's a highly recruited guy and he gets a scholarship. Who knows? Maybe he'll play for the Hoosiers. Maybe we'll see. Is my point. We'll see. That'd be cool.
But yeah, that's a wrap on basketball, Brad. There's not much else going on in the Indiana basketball apparatus, which at this point in time is a good thing. Like, there's a lot. I shouldn't say there's nothing else going on. Like, they're making a lot of noise in the recruiting trail. They offered the number 1 center in the class of 26, I think, or
Showtime sales is all on.
Yeah. So Indiana basketball is putting in work. I would. You'll be like, the program's in good hands. Like, I'm impressed and I'm comfortable with the job Darren DeVries has been doing. So that's what I got for this week, Brad. I know you wanted to put the spotlight on something.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. That's a good call. I was in the zone, so I kind of forgot about this. However, obviously a lot of people know there's probably some, high school alums of mine that are maybe watching this show. My community was impacted pretty recently by a pretty crazy tragedy. Obviously, I have Live Like Braun in my what do you call it? Your whatever. Who cares?
Oh no, what happened?
Obviously, I have Live Like Braun here. There was a young man by the name of Braun Levy. He recently graduated from my high school, Loyola High School. He's class of 25. I was class of 17. This is a kid that won 4 individual tennis league titles. He was committed to the University of Virginia, one of the top public institutions in the world, to go play tennis there. He's a very, he's one of those kids, those good apples, everyone's best friend, lights up the room when he walks in, great energy. Unfortunately, he was, struck by a drunk driver and passed away. And I don't want to end this show on a bad note, but this is a family that 2 months ago lost their home to the Palisades fire. I would love if, the Indiana Hoosier community would, help support them in any sort of way. If you would love to help support the Levy family with the recent tragedies that they've, in losing their home and losing their son, reach out to me and I would love to help direct you in any way that you can help. My Twitter is at Bradley_Loomis8. So, feel free to reach out, and happy to help, facilitate if you guys are looking to help a family in need out. And clearly going through a huge tragedy. And Live Like Braun is the saying, obviously coming from the fact that this was just a very, infectious energy around campus, just from what I've heard from, asking teachers and things like that. And I've seen videos of this kid. He was a special kid, and is an absolute loss to at least my Loyola community, as well as, a lot of, loved ones down there in SoCal. So, praying, thoughts and prayers to the Levy family. And if you guys want to help out in any way, definitely reach out to me. I would love to, show you guys the way.
Yeah, we'll get the link out there from one of the accounts from Brad's account, or ways to help out. Absolutely horrible. So obviously thoughts and prayers.
Horrible tragedy. Don't drink and drive. Apparently this lady had her license suspended from an already previous DUI. So this is just a bad apple that, absolutely took what was already a great life, and what was going to be, an even better future away from him and his family. So absolutely gutted for them and my community that is mourning a very special person. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Live like Braun. I'll leave it at that.
Live like Braun. Do you want to let's end on a happy note though, Brad?
Yeah, it's on a happy note. Showtime sales.
Yeah, it's there's also like 3, 4, or 5 guys in the class that they're either planning on bringing in for visits, just had on visits that we didn't explicitly mention, but the recruiting trajectory of the Indiana Hoosiers. We were asked earlier about what does this mean for the class of 25? What does it mean for the class of 26? What does it mean for the class of 27 and onward? And like obviously the goal in each class is to add talent and get better, but it like this last year was like, okay, we need to play catch up because we had to build the 24 class late, so the 25 class had to be built late, and so it wasn't as big maybe as they wanted it to be. But they have a lot of really talented guys in there. This class, like Brad said, we're basically right on schedule, and so they have the chance to make a statement. They're making a statement in the state of Indiana. They're lining up to go after a lot of really impactful guys on the offensive side of the ball, which we haven't seen a ton of movement on yet. We're going to start seeing that happen soon. It's just the line is pointing up for the Hoosiers, and the way they're recruiting, the guys they're recruiting. It's exciting. It's exciting. Good times are ahead.
So Henry Olinger is what would be the 16th highest rated recruit in IU history based on 24/7's rankings, and Timmons is ranked above him in the composite. I mean, there's just a lot of buzz with this class. I don't think Olinger and Timmons are going to end up being the best players in this class. I think they're going to end up getting higher rated players, whether those guys are better or not than these guys. You don't know. Elijah Hardy was the 0-star recruit. No one knew about him. We brushed over him a little bit in our preview of the class, and he turned out to be the best one out of all of them. So really can't look too much into stars, but collectively we'll love to see them finish inside the top 40 this year. And, better yet, like I'm not going to rule out top 25. Top 25 recruiting class is huge. Like when we talk about the macro, I miss John, man. John wasn't here today.
Yeah, no, I miss John.
We're talking about the macro, the macro lens of recruiting. You want to bring you want to be in that top 25, and a top 25 class with Signetti's between the years evaluation is, something that's going to get us over the top as we talk about getting into that tier 1 with Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State. Like this is part of the process, stacking days, stacking weeks, stacking months, stacking years. It's what it takes to build a championship program, and we're on the right track. Way ahead of schedule, by the way.
100%. I 100% agree with PK here in the chat. After Mendoza tears it up, 4- and 5-star QBs will be lining up. 100%. 100%. As soon as the season starts and they see the way this dude is slinging the ball and the way he shoots up mock drafts, like, yeah, you want to play for the coach and the team that's producing a top pick in the draft. That's just like it's.
You got Rourke drafted 7th round. I mean, that's big.
Rourke would have been drafted higher probably if he didn't have the ACL injury.
Yeah. 10. I think there were only 12 quarterbacks drafted, something like that. Like it was a lower number this year. Teams aren't, I'd mentioned the Darnold, Geno Smith effect. Teams aren't going to be drafting as many quarterbacks. There was a little effect with Purdy panning out where teams were just taking guys. That's not how it works. So things are shifting, and getting, guys drafted is what's going to get you those top 25 classes in the long run. And, just all part of the process.
Hell yeah. You can follow us on Twitter at IndianaVOCFB. You can follow Brad at Bradley_Loomis8. Hit Brad up for information on stuff for Live Like Braun. You can follow me at Alec Keyser. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Indiana at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram. We're on Instagram. where you get your podcast. Check out voiceofcollegefootball.com, vocfb.com. I'm writing articles for them. I should have something coming up this week. Been pulling all my inspiration from Indiana football, but I might venture outside of the realm if I don't really want to like write about. Do you want to talk about the? No, I'm going to save it. We're going to save the Rivals and On3 merger. I have a bunch of thoughts about the Rivals and On3 merger from a business standpoint, from a college football standpoint, from just a fan of media in general. I'm going to sit on it for now, though. Maybe
Remember
we'll release it.
Scouts.com? I love Scouts.com. They got bought by 24/7 way back in the day. But I was right.
Like, comment, share, subscribe on YouTube. Shout out to Scout.com. Things are happening every week in Indiana football. We'll be here every week to talk about it. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Appreciate you guys in the chat. If you're watching, I keep forgetting to throw this in the middle somewhere, but if you're watching not on YouTube, if you're watching through the Voice of College Football Twitter page or the Facebook page, hop on over to YouTube. You can hop in the comments, interact, join the chat, all that good stuff.
Subscribe and subscribe, and then every time we go live on Tuesday, you're gonna be right there. It's gonna pop up. It's amazing how this technology works these days, where you subscribe to something and then it's at your fingertips. It's beautiful. It's unreal. The algos, they did a great job, honestly, with these algos, these algorithms, this media stuff. I digress. But yeah, definitely pop over to YouTube, and appreciate all you guys listening anyways, no matter how you're doing it. But
yeah, and also like when I cut the show up into clips, I try and like I'm in the comments. I'm reading and responding to people and trying to like stuff, and we love the engagement. So yeah,
love the comments throughout the show. It's definitely one of my favorite parts personally. We're trying to get to a point where maybe we can do a call-in show, but that's down the line a little bit. Probably gonna do it more toward the season starts. But yeah, love all the engagement, anything we can get. Super appreciative of you guys.
Appreciate everybody. We'll be back next week talking Indiana Hoosier football. Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.